inflation. So Friday, the DNU fell through. So you and Minister Caputo, first off, you blasted out what it meant for the DNU to flop.
And with the pre-market,
What's the pre-market?
let's say the pre-markets, like when you start seeing deals happening in the markets before it even opens.
And it was making waves.
All red,
Everything was red, just so folks get it. It was bad.
all going downhill.
And then,
Then I dropped the tweet and we ended up on top.
well, let's see. You compared the market to orcs marching forward while we're busting our butts to move the country forward, pulling from lower country risk and interest rates. They're busy making us poorer. We never said it'd be a cakewalk, etc. After their tweet and the economy minister's follow-up talking about superiority and finance, I get that this guy turned into quite the expert.
We bounced back from the whole drop
Can you break down why that happens?
because we're totally committed to. Hitting zero deficit is non-negotiable for us. Like, we're not bargaining over it. Zero deficit. We're not willing to compromise on fixing up the central bank or on freedom and property rights. Kind of putting it out there. We made a point of highlighting that, right? Despite all that, we weren't going to budge an inch on those goals. And clearly, the market took us seriously. Because the response was, let's say, pretty awesome right after the tweet.
Immediately.
So should I tell you why this is so dang important? Because it seems like a smart question, right? It's pretty clever and can be answered both on a basic level, which I just did, and on a deeper level. Bonds are basically debt. So the price of these bonds depends on whether you're going to pay your debt or not. The more likely you are to pay, the bond's price gets closer to what it's supposed to be. Trading at par when everyone believes you will. That means they're trading at 100. When folks don't believe, let's say, in the good stuff, they were trading at 18.
And now,
50. By the way, they also bumped up our credit rating.
upgrading Argentina's credit rating exactly.
Exactly.
What's the rating?
Right now, we're at triple C, but we're gonna keep climbing. That's super important. Us. Talking zero deficit here, which is a finance thing, means no more fiscal gap, no need for new debt. We're just gonna roll over the existing one, not pile up anymore. Yeah, in that context. Means the debt's not gonna balloon. So if the debt to GDP ratio is steady, not rising, it shows we're solvent, we can pay up. That's why when we stepped in, the country risk was sky high at 2,900. And now it's down to 1,577. It even hit.
All right.
Or 1,600, I mean, just rounding up.
Getting down to the real deal. Way cooler than just the political scene. Can you govern? Without a single law getting a real run-through. Not even the omnibus law. And even if they flip the emergency decrees on their heads.
Absolutely.
Can I win like usual? And hit the targets we set out?
Yeah, totally. Because we knew something like this could go down. And it doesn't exactly shock us. Meaning folks are caught off guard, but not us. I mean, it's turning heads, isn't it? All these emergency decrees they've been firing off to clamp down on freedoms and stuff.
Less than 1,500 from way back in 83 up to now?
Let's just say with all the trimming of property rights, cutting back on freedom, they didn't pull it all off. Bottom line, we want to give folks their freedom back, get to a more competitive market structure, and put an end to swindling. Man, it's all about ending the corruption. That's a super tough obstacle. But yeah, here's the deal. You mentioned that when we arrived, we were on the edge of hyperinflation. First week of December, prices were climbing at a yearly rate of 3,700. Second week, it jumped to 7,500 for wholesalers, which is a 54% increase, meaning that for the year, it's like 17,000. We put the brakes on printing money by stopping the money flow and guarding the cash reserves. It led to December's inflation ended up at 25%, January's was at 20%, and February's, which was expected to be around 16-17%, finished at 13.2. But here's a key point, Luis. We had a carryover of 4.2 stats-wise. As for those one-off effects, let's not even say it's about rates and prepaid stuff. At 1.8, it adds up to 6. So if we knock 6 off of that 13.2, we find ourselves at 7.2, which means we're already hitting single digits.
And in March?
March is just super tricky, really tricky. March is the kind of month that has really strong seasonality vibes. But there's some good stuff to do, because there's a lot of chatter, not all good. But hey, the first week of March went up, so let me spill something. The first week of every month, things always jump up. So what we should be doing is comparing. Against
the first week.
Like this, for example, the first week of January was below the first week of December. The first week of February was below the first week of January. And the first week of March is below the first week of February. I mean, what's more, when you check out the indicator Alberto Caballo came up with, son of Domingo Caballo, we're in the singles. And when you look at Colatina's work, it's also single digits. When you look at Econometrics, that is Ramiro Castiñera, we're in the singles. When you look at Orlando Ferreres, the core's down to single digits, Then, well, you've got all these effects showing up, the statistical drag, the one-time deals, and all that jazz. So then, let's say dealing with all that seasonal stuff, it's true that you'll see what looks like a dip in the slowing down of inflation. But then again, the amount of money is not growing. We're still playing with the same amount of cash we had when we started. But now we've got a cool $10 billion in reserves. It's starting to show that the way out is always closer than we think. We took a sledgehammer to it, chopped the interest rate by 30 points.
And the dollar?
And the dollar hasn't budged. Just this week we bought over $1 billion. So it seems things are way better than we think.
You need $15 billion to get out of the financial bind. $15 billion.
With $15 billion, I'd unlock it right now. If someone handed me $15 billion, I'd sort it out immediately.
So what does it take to get that $15 billion?
Well, we'd need to work on a new deal with the fund. There's a bunch of countries willing to work with us so we can make the deal. And we also know there are investment funds ready to cough up the dough. And about that deal, the reality is, if we can't pull it off, we'll go through the central bank. Because this is super important too. Luis, if we had known from day one about the bank run and the hyperinflation, that would have been something. If we do it today, it's split. There's economists who think we can open it up because, the monetary base throughout the 21st century, except for this last bit.
An average of like 20%?
10%, right? And now it's 2.6. So someone's saying we're missing something here, let's say, meaning there's room for more money demand without a crash happening. Especially when we check out the credit to the non-financial private sector. 4% of the GDP when elsewhere in Latin America it's over 60. And now there's this whole issue with deposits. What's going on? What happens is, when we look at the wider monetary base, it's not 12, it's 11. So I'm not sure that if I open up, I won't get a run on the bank.
A run?
Sure, but it's true and gotta say it. We dropped the rate by 30 points. And the dollar didn't go up. We bought a ton of dollars because it's been a record-breaking week for buying dollars. And on top of that, dollar deposits within the system are going up. To those saying we can open up, I tell them they're getting more credit.
All right, quick-fire questions, because we're nearing the interview's end. First off, when the insurance scandal came up, some suggested yanking Nacion Bank's insurance from their privatizations. Is there a special interest in that or something?
Not for us. If it were up to us, we'd privatize everything. I don't know. And there's this thing with the EUR cars. We're switching over to secure car plans.
All right. So you're saying he's not a middleman?
Exactly. But if it were up to me, all right, I'd privatize everything.
Okay, every time they go like, let's not cut taxes, no special deals or exemptions. They bring up the case of Tierra del Fuego. What's going to be done about it?
Well, there are a couple of major points there. One is that the regime's been extended, so one might say that
By law, until 2035, Alberto Fernandez demanded.
that's exactly why. So the reality is that, if we want to respect property rights, we're going to end up violating property rights, which is a problem. That's the first point. And then there's the second point. Generally, in the analysis about Tierra del Fuego, it's quite something. It's not about the cost of the regime. Honestly, the regime isn't expensive per se. What it's got are tax breaks that let them skip on taxes. So if you're asking me, the real issue ain't the taxes Tierra del Fuego ain't paying.
So it's the tax breaks.
It's about the taxes the mainland is paying. See, the problem ain't really, it ain't about Tierra del Fuego skipping out on the issue with all we're paying on the mainland. What I'm saying is we got to cut public spending, which is what we're pushing for. Back to the levels before Kirchner's time, the Kirchnerism regime era. Basically, to be able to lower the taxes.
Okay. Why are you so hung up on the idea of sports limited companies?
I think that, first off, because it's quick investment. It's our idea, we've got huge potential here, and it'd be a smart, solid investment for sure. Let's see how a free society operates compared to the collectivist approach. There's basically a whole societal structure there. Today at the clubs, there's this deep-rooted collectivist mindset that kind of glorifies poverty, which I personally think is...
There are a few out there exploiting that.
Exactly. And I think it's super interesting that we can bring in some competition, to shake things up. What I'm saying is, it's cool because I'm not suggesting we do away with the existing societies. I'm just saying, why not let there be another way to do things, What's the big deal? They're going to find out is that these guys, the poverty romantics, they're not into it when it's their own money on the line because they're the ones who end up footing the bill.
Who are they?
I should really dig deeper into this case to give you exact names. All right, but it's pretty obvious it's true. Like mismanagement, happens in certain clubs. That stuff shouldn't slide, no way. Like there's this one club, you saw it, right? They've got us hyping up some products and then bam, those products hit the market.
Oh no, I have no clue which one it's. I'm clueless.
It's something that should be making you too happy. Boca. But yes, obviously that makes you happy. Let's just say it. Riquelme's lousy management is giving them a kick. In fact, I went to vote for Macri's candidate.
We want the top candidate too.
Forever and ever, right? Yeah, totally. The River fans want their rivalry to last forever.
Rosario, drug trafficking.
Right? We're taking some serious, determined action there. One of the things we did was this big operation called Operation Flag. They were disarmed. We had 57 successful drug busts. Then another big deal for us in Santa Fe province is that we're the third in the country for the most federal forces. And not just that, we've also brought in an extra 450 troops from the National Gendarmerie, Argentine Naval Prefecture, Airport Security Police, Federal Police, and Penitentiary System. Plus, we've been ramping up with logistical support from the Army and moving resources around between the Gendarmerie. And also the Army towards something greater, attacking drug trafficking, and in fact, we've decided to hit hard, flood 8 zones, and well, looks like it's working, let's say. Honestly, Minister Bullrich's work on security is top-notch, and it's being complemented by Dr. Petri. Honestly, I'm really pleased. I'm super happy with all my ministers.
How's it going with Macri?
Great, I get along really well with President Macri. We've got a great relationship,
Shouldn't be more. This one I'm not sure about structurally, specifically.
Well, there are also issues with the internal logic of his own party.
Which you can't handle.
And that's not something I can step into. That's for the PRO party to sort out. You know? It's not my place. But what you can see is that we're working with the PRO folks in tight alignment. Plus, check this out. Isn't it fascinating what happened with the radicals? I really want to highlight that. Because in the Senate, there are 13 radical senators and 10. They got on board with the ideas of change. And it's mostly governors, and the radicalism is super representative. They backed up the reforms we're pushing for, and they supported the change. So I want to give props to that too. There's a wing of the radicals that seems to... They got inspired by Alem and not the Irigoyen Alfonsen tradition.
Okay, he's about to hit 100 days in office. You got the camera. If you feel like, addressing the camera, what didn't you manage to achieve? And what did you achieve? Or the opposite?
Well, economically speaking, we've managed to stave off hyperinflation. We hit zero deficit. We're cleaning up the central bank's balance sheet. We've managed to lower the country's risk. We've boosted our credit rating. And we're getting closer every day to the exchange controls and kicking off the recovery process. Which I gotta say feels like an achievement because we've done all this despite the politics. I mean, we're making headway in reducing crime, cutting inflation, and getting the economy back on track, all despite the politics. And on the political front, we've pulled off something that seemed unthinkable in Argentina. And that is sorting out the ideological spectrum between those who want change and those who are clinging to the status quo. I gotta tell you something. I'm fully aware that the Argentine media is having a tougher time. I'm fully aware. I know people see it too. But that's true too. What about when we took over the government? Only 20% of us Argentinians believe we could make things better going forward. In January, that number jumped to 30. In February, to 42. And after the speech at the opening of the Legislative Assembly, it soared to 47. And what else? Here's the kicker. 7 out of 10 Argentinians are sure we're going to bring down inflation. 50 percentage points. You think we're going to do it? 20 percentage points in the first year? You bet we're going to chop it down in the second? And believe me, we will, because we're on it right now. You can see it every day. So we're going to beat inflation, wave goodbye to the restrictions, start growing again, keep on fighting tooth and nail for safety, and we're not going to stop supporting the most vulnerable. This time, the effort makes sense. Makes sense because it's politics footing the bill, not the good people of Argentina.
Thanks, Mr. President, for your time.
Hey, thanks a lot, Luis. A real pleasure.